Welcome to Level Sync, a Final Fantasy XI podcast with your hosts, DA Soccer, Caladrius, Lost Time Lord, and Quetch.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Level Sync, a Final Fantasy XI Horizon podcast. Today we're going to be going over some recent patches that occurred as well as changes to the relics, but first let me introduce my fellow hosts. We have the altruistic hero Link of Final Fantasy XI, DA Soccer.
What's up?
Also, we have the badass protagonist Clive Rosefield of Final Fantasy XI, Icy Caladrius.
What's up?
And lastly,
Jesus Christ.
the wise and ever-present Deckard Cain of Final Fantasy XI. Over here. LTL, Lost Time Lord. How you doing, LTL?
Stay a while and listen.
Oh man, it's been like a side note from Final Fantasy stuff is it's been a crazy year for gaming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like Diablo just came out and that's been sucking away my life. Like it's such a good game. And just before that, I beat Jedi Survivor, the new Jedi game. I won't spoil anything because it's so good. But it's so good. Oh my god, I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, and until just this evening, I had no idea the name of the lead for Final Fantasy 16 was Clive Rosefield. So, anybody play the demo yet for FF16?
No, we've got it downloaded though. You can carry over save data from the demo to the full game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a PS5 yet, but I got my eyes on it.
Just Diablo for me.
Yeah, you too?
Yeah, been tearing it up.
Same. I've been playing Diablo.
All three of you guys? What the heck?
Yeah. What up, Quetch?
my IRL friend group is all playing it. My entire Limbus static practically is all playing it. Yeah. We've had a couple of like Link Shell members that are just ghosted that we're pretty sure are playing Diablo 4, so...
Come play Diablo, Quetch.
I do enjoy Diablo.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
So, yeah, Horizon. How's everybody's... So we haven't actually had a talk about how, like, what we've been up to since before our last episode with the awesome Funkworks. And, you know, just wanted to see what you guys have been up to. You know, what you've been doing in good old Horizon. How about I throw it to DA?
I got a list, man. It's been a
Okay.
little bit of time. I got a list. Number 1, 71 Warrior. I am officially
Damn.
71. I am 4 away from cap. Exactly. And once I hit 71, all party invites stopped. So that's been a wonderful time for me to jump on a little, like we said, D4. But I am so close to that 75. But kind of backtracking just a hair, I did beat Matt. I went 1 for 1. I got a video of it because I fully suspected to lose. I was level 66 when I went in, and I'm doing the Oppo necklace and sleeping and all that jazz, get my TP ready, and I realized I got 16 minutes remaining before my 2 hours available. So I went in, beat Matt 1 for 1 with no mighty strikes. And it was literally because of a parry. I parried him at one point and won with the next swing. So I got the video on that. I was ecstatic. So Sky Access as well. I want to be able to thank, I think it's Capnick and Xenofire, both of them for assisting with one day just say, let's get you Sky Access so you can get some XP in there. So shout out to both those gentlemen. I beat...
That's Captain K, as in
Captain K?
As in Captain Kush.
K.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Captain
Yeah.
Kush. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, both of them, for assisting with that, the pot and everything like that, getting me cut through. I also finally beat the Mammoths yesterday. So Chains of Promethea, and whenever I see the shouts, I join in on those. Went 1 for 1. I was the only casualty, which if the warrior dies, that's probably the best one to die, other than a kiter, a tank, or a healer. So I was very happy to kind of eat dirt, but get the W. Quetch, I want to apologize. I found the best thief in the game.
Okay.
But it wasn't you, so I apologize.
Okay.
Fiddy. Fidi. He was a Kraken Club thief that I partied with twice in Sky that is phenomenal. From the pulling to the TP, it was absolutely stupid how much he was just beating the shit out of those birds up there and getting 2 to 3 weapon skills off before I'd get one with my Great Axe Hasso Sub Sam. And want to give him a little bit of just a shout out because I'll hop on tonight. He'll be like, "Hey, yo, let's make a party," and he'll build the party and roll out because he knows how like down we are for it. Also want to shout out Cal. I actually absolutely hate you for Gideus. Cal has been working on his bard, as we discussed recently, and he's been wanting the staff in Gideus. I spent 4 straight days in Gideus, not logging out there, logging in there. I got a 16-minute timer on my Steam Deck to be able to time the PH killing. We've killed him combined over 50 times. We have not gotten the staff drop. I literally made 400k just from mitts that dropped, the Zealot mitts or whatever, and selling those on the auction now. So Cal, I absolutely hate you. But I was very determined to be able to get that, and we're still working on that one. And last, a little bit of kind of growth or news on there. I want to give a shout out to Winter Solstice and Hugin for fixing the clamming nodes that were broken. The original nodes are fixed.
I saw the patch notes. I saw clamming listed. I was hoping you had gone out there and figured it out or had something to say because I didn't know.
Oh yeah, they officially fixed the 17-second one in minute 22. So I need to go out there and redo it, especially with a possible Sunbreeze festival that might be coming with new gear that can help clamming. I need to go out there and just kind of double check everything and make sure we're good to go before I get those notes. So yeah, I got a lot of information. It's been, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks since we've done one of these. So hopefully next time we do one of these, I'll be 75. But we'll see what those party invites and Deckard Cain have to say about it.
Well, it sounds like you're about to be the bearded Clampion.
I love you, LTL.
If that were a title.
I do want that title, the Clampion. That's phenomenal.
LTL, I know you've been a little busy with D4, but
I have.
Anything of note happened in Horizon in the past month, basically?
Yeah, the only thing that I haven't already mentioned, since I haven't been playing a lot. Well, I did get to 60 on my Ranger. We're slow goings there. I can finally use my Celine's bow. I'm excited about that.
Is that the rare EX one, or is that the?
Yeah, it's the one from White Coney and Black Coney in Uleg Grand. You trade the carrots to the question marks when it's either new moon or full moon, and it pops a rabbit, has a chance to drop that bow. And the cool thing about the bow is its ranged attack and ranged accuracy are affected by the moon phase. So you can have some interesting combinations on there. Otherwise, it's pretty cool. Haven't really gotten into a party to be able to use it yet, but hoping to do that soon. But the other cool thing that I actually did in the past couple of weeks, and I know a bunch of other people have already done it, but is the Bahamut version 2 fight. The current toughest fight in the game. It's not supposed to be, but it kind of is. So you fight Bahamut, much like version 1. I know I spoke about version 1 and the bug that we ran into where I won for everybody. But much like version 2, you go in and he's like right now he's bugged and he's got super fast cast, so it's really hard to do. But the way it works is you fight him, you get him down, and I think it's at 20%. You know, those final fights in COP and the base game have so many gimmicks at different percentages. It's ridiculous. It's get this boss down to this percent, it's gonna spawn this, and then like I was telling you guys about the Waking the Beast fight with Carbuncle. Yeah, so it's very similar, but this is fucking scarier, right? So you're fighting Bahamut, he's already badass enough, and then every 20% he spawns one of the Grand Worms. So it's boom, here's Jormungand. Beat him. It's boom, here's Tiamat. And then Oryu. And then fucking Vertra. It's crazy. Obviously, they're not as difficult as their real world versions, but they'll still fuck you up pretty good. So we did that a couple times and won. And then nobody got any Bahamut staff. The big draw to that is the Bahamut staff for the summoner. Also, it can drop Kashmir, which is used for the end game bard piece.
Set.
Yeah. But the Bahamut staff is a summoner staff that basically rolls all HQ staves into one staff for the summoner, as far as perpetuation is concerned, which is huge. And since I don't have any HQ staves, I was really hoping to get me one of those.
How many
but
times
the
did
way
you
that
guys
it-
do the fight?
well, we only won once because it was bugged and we were having such a hard time with it. But we didn't have a lot of time to. It was later in the day, anyways, and we were only going to do a couple. So we won once, and it dropped the Dragon Staff, which is a level 40 summoner staff that reduces Avatar perpetuation across the board by 1, which is nice at level 40 if you're doing level 40 content. But you know, obviously, I'm not doing level 40 content. But yeah, so that fight is crazy, and it was a lot of fun. I hope that they fix it soon if it is indeed broken. I mean, it felt broken, but what do I know? I never did that content in retail. But it was fun and it was exciting. If you guys get to that point, I recommend you check it out. Oh, I was going to say how you get there. So you do an E&M, certain E&Ms, like there's the ones in Ulegrand and I think Etowah Chasm, and you get a chance to get a Cloud Evoker.
Right.
And then if you get a Cloud Evoker, you trade that to a spot in Raverne, and you fight Oryu, version 2, and he's kind of a pushover. We were able to kick his ass real good. And 100% of the time, Oryu drops a Monarch Orb, and then you take the Monarch Orb and trade that to another spot in Raverne, and you do the Bahamut fight to potentially get that staff that way. Yeah, so that's like the last fight in those expansions.
Yeah, I was reading that fight the other day, and it's like the Mega Flare he uses at like 20% or something. Doesn't it do like thousands of damage?
Mm-hmm. Don't be near it.
Yeah, like you need to clear out. Like I don't know. You probably sack a tank. I don't really know what
you
the
can
process is.
mitigate it with certain things. I think. I mean, I don't know that anybody was. We had a few. No, at that 20% one, I think somebody's gonna die. I think there's probably ways around it, but I'm not a wise enough man to know what they are. I'm just like, fight things, my demons. You know, I use suck on Carbuncle and just
Oh,
make it,
I hear that's effective.
and make it go. Yeah, it's very effective. It's super effective, in fact. That's all I got. That's all the excitement I've had.
Fun stuff. How about you, Cal? I know you and DA have been camping for your staff. You didn't actually get it, right? Last I talked to you.
No. We're like 0 for like 52 altogether. It's been awful. I said screw it and went ahead and just leveled Bard to 45. I got the AF dagger because it's, I mean, almost as good.
With all the fucking money you've been making on those fucking things, you could just buy the goddamn thing from the auction house.
I could. I had the money to buy it.
DA
I
should
stated
just you know
that
what?
I had the money.
DA should have just fucking got that money from this announcements, bought the fucking thing on an alt that nobody knows about, and then just been like, oh, you won't believe what happened while you were asleep, Cal. Look, I woke up super early for you. It got you to drop. Yay, congratulations.
It's a matter of principle now, and I need that cash. Okay.
All right, fair enough.
I'm always poor. I don't do anything but clamming, and we discussed those numbers.
He says he's mad at me, but I made him 400k, so I don't know what his issue is.
I made me 400k.
Made
You
him
didn't
sell
make me shit.
400K.
But no, I did not ever get that. Much like DA, I beat Matt. That was fun. He decided to
Nice.
shield bash and cure 4 like crazy at the end. But he died. I got Paladin to 71. I think I'm only 10k from 72. But also, much like DA, party invites have slowed down vastly. So I've just kind of been taking a break in leveling Bard. I think I'm at 45 on Bard.
You two are at a perfect level to gang up, and you know what? You only need 4 more people after that.
That's
true.
what we
Just
have
need-
been doing. Like the thief he was talking about, Fiddy. We've been in parties together
Yeah.
with Fiddy and a red mage named Hobo.
Perfect. Yeah, Red Mage
doing
Thief,
content.
you guys are there. Like you can fill with whatever else you want. At
That's
that
a
point.
killer Sky group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the red mage has a K club too.
What the?
Red Mage and the Thief both rock A clubs. So Cal's over there just first voking. That's all he does.
Wow.
But
That's
and then I
funny.
also have to say thanks to Captain K and Xeno because I went with DA to do the pot fight for Sky Access, and they helped me out too. Other than that, Diablo has absorbed a lot of my life. I've been playing it quite a bit, so that's about all the new stuff I have.
All right, we're gonna be a Diablo 4 podcast. Thank you everybody for listening. Yeah, so cool. The map fights, that's big stuff, you guys. Congratulations.
That old man just didn't want to die.
And I highlighted it so I can throw it to you to be able to put in the description.
Cool.
So if anybody
That'd be
wants to
perfect.
check out the match fight, because I was like, shit, 16 minutes on Mighty Strikes. So
Dude,
it was
imagine
wonderful.
going into Warrior Mat Fight and not having Mighty Strikes. Oh my gosh. That's
At
like
66.
one of the best tools you could possibly have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on my end, I finally bit the bullet and did some Bastock missions, so I'm rank 8 now.
Very nice.
You get storage slots or wardrobe slots that I had just been like totally lacking. And since I've been leveling, I've kind of pivoted a little bit off on a summoner, and I've been trying to do some Dragoon on the side. Mainly because my gear, all my like best gear pretty much carries over. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. So, but I'm not really finding that much time to level anyway. They're both still pretty low. But anyway, I needed the wardrobe slots, so me and a buddy went and did some missions. We're gonna finish it up at some point. Also, speaking of endgame gear and Dragoon, I had been saving my Neptunal Abjuration hands to try to go for an HQ. It's the Hecatome mittens.
Mm-hmm.
And I had made my own Neptunal, the body from Kieran, but it turns out the LS was actually providing the mats for players to make their abjuration gear, and I didn't know that. So they reimbursed me for that and gave me the mats to do my gloves. And I was like, all right, I'm going to use these, and I'm going to try to get an HQ on my gloves abjuration, because I still hadn't, the body's like a tier 0 or whatever, so I wasn't really worried about it. I just made an NQ. But the gloves are tier 1, and I had 2 attempts, and I brought them to my buddy who just got level 100 Bonecraft like maybe 2 weeks ago tops, if that. And second synth HQ gloves, so I have a pair of Hecatome mittens
Nice.
+1. Yeah, they're huge. They're like 5 dex, 8 strength.
Nice.
Good for both Dragoon and Thief. But yeah, so I'm happy about that. But also, our link shell, we'll talk about some H&M changes later on in the podcast. Our link shell got our first Nidhogg yesterday.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a really fun fight. I actually have it recorded. I'm not sure if I want to make a video or something, because it was just like nice and tense, and I got to be the thief in the group for the entire fight. So that felt good too, making skill chains, and my accuracy was like 60% when all was said and done. So I kind of improved my accuracy a tiny bit after that. But we had one abjuration drop. It was the Hecatome legs.
Nice.
There were 2 people that lotted on it, me and another thief. They lotted like a 282, and I'm like, okay, I have a pretty good chance. I lotted at like 105.
Ouch.
So
God.
our first HQ King, our first HQ Abjuration, and hey, I'm happy for the person who got it. And I was happy to do the fight, and super cool to have our first HQ King. But I lost a lot, so yeah, again, H&M changes later. But that's something we're happy for, because we've been in the game for a while now, and we've gotten a good deal of the NQs of all the others, or of Fafnir and the others and whatnot. So yeah, 2 thumbs up. Other than that, Chocobo digging is this close, fellow podcast hosts, to 60. I'm 57.7. I'm about 2 weeks away from the possibility of digging up elemental ores.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Hopefully get a little bit of payoff for that. Yeah. So that's
I'll
been
stick to doing
my few
AA.
weeks. Yeah, I've done a good deal of that too. But yeah, so that's what we've all been up to. We're gonna jump in now to the relic changes. So a little bit of explanation as to what happened. So basically, the relics have been in the game in Horizon since release, but they weren't changed. They were the original relics the way they were. And I know of 3 relics that were made prior to this patch that happened. It was the Annihilator, Gallarhorn, and Kikoku, pretty much Kikoku like 2 days before the patch dropped. Um, but we knew something was changed. We didn't know how or what, and then the devs kind of said, "Hey, we're gonna do a stream, and we're gonna talk about the changes, and not only that, we're gonna release the patch that actually updates all the relics." And there was a big live stream going over all of those changes, and we're gonna talk about them here today, and kind of get the vibe of what changes came, and if if it made them better or whatnot. We'll share our opinions and some stuff from the community. So first off, there are a few that were not changed at all, and I have my notes here. That is the Great Katana, Amano, the Annihilator, the Ranger Gun, the Bravura, the Warrior Great Axe, and Gallarhorn. And basically their reasoning was these are all very good in era, and yeah, they're for individual reasons. Bravura's super like crazy DT effect that you only get from that. Gallarhorn is legendary. Amano is just very strong. Actually, I do have something to say about the Amano. There was some talk in the Discord about Hagen's nerf here on the server. You guys remember Hagen back in the day? I just remember like Sam's with Hagen was just like a machine.
Yeah, it was one of their best damage dealing weapons. They trashed it here on this server.
Yeah, so it was like best in slot for them all through, I think, into wings even. So they didn't want such a relatively easy to obtain weapon to be just so good. And so that got nerfed here.
They killed it.
So now Amano should be best in slot for Samurai, which would make more sense. And then there's only one more that got a slight tweak, and that is the Apocalypse. They changed the mods from the weapon skill mod from, I have it listed here, strength plus intelligence. It used to be agility plus intelligence. The original Relics had an issue where some of their mods just didn't quite fit with the way you normally gear the character. And as we'll see, because we're each going to take some of these relics, some of the mods have been changed to more fit what that job normally wants to stack with their stats. A Dark Knight is not stacking agility for anything ever. So yeah, those are the ones that are kind of unchanged. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but we do have my favorite weapon first. That is the Mandau. Wait, let me just ask first off. Were you guys there for the live stream? Did you hop in and check that out when they were live streaming it?
Yeah,
I was in between Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Literally in the hallway watching the live broadcast as it hit, and loved it, every bit of it. So it was great to be. It was on mobile, so I wasn't too happy, but at the same time, watching the changes they did and everything being strength now, and seeing the hype in channel of people like, "Oh, what'd you do to my weapon? Oh shit! Oh, Shield Madness does what?" And it looked like it was a welcome change. I really like Relics being the end all be all, but yeah, it was a pretty hyped live stream.
Yeah, I would say just generally the Relics seem like they fit their classes a lot more with the way Horizons approached them. I'm really excited for this. So, I guess I'll just go into the Mandau first. So, Mandau's had a very interesting change, and it's something that we're going to probably see more of going forward. Eric actually talked about this on our podcast, but he kind of like said it in a different way. He mentioned like Haubergen being able to be like a warrior specific version, but the Mandau is now an adaptive weapon. So what that means is that depending upon which job is equipping it, because it is a thief, red mage, bard, dagger, it will have a different bonus effect for that job. In addition to that, it got the poison aftermath. No, poison, the added effect is no longer poison, it's now gravity. And gravity, of course, lowers evasion, so it's a nice like evasion down bonus on the on hit effect. But the adaptive bonus on this is if you're a thief, you get +4 base damage, which Mandau is known for its DPS potential for thief in era. If you're a bard, you get -10% song cast time, so you cast your songs 10% faster. And red mage gets end spell damage +10. And that's basically the gist of it. So I'm actually planning on making one. I know we had talked recent. I forget, was it? We might have talked like outside of the podcast last time, but somebody mentioned like, hey, we might not ever even own one of these relics. I do plan on making a Mandau, so just face value. I have. Oh, I remember I told you guys I have like 400 currencies right now, so I'm really far away. But I do plan on making it.
I remember that discussion because Cal made that comment of who of us is actually going to own it. I was like, we're going to get you that paladin shield,
Yeah.
and you're going to give me Alexandrite so I can make a Turpidirt. So I mean that's the agreement. I'm going to put all my efforts in behind trying to support Cal and get him that shield because once we get to it, it's going to be a fun discussion. I really like those changes too.
Yeah, I have one fear is that it'll make me want to level Bard, because 10% songcasting time is really good.
But if you do that, then you gotta get G-Horn too. I mean,
That's sort of the issue too, right? Because then I'm stuck on Bard for the rest of my life if that happened. But I did have an interesting talk with someone in my live chat about Battle Bard specifically. Like, obviously, I think Thief is going to be really friggin' strong with it, right? Because right now our best weapon is X's Knife, which is really good. But Mandau is obviously it's much stronger than that. Battle Bard in Era, like you have to sing songs like every 2 minutes, so your opportunity to like actually spend time DPSing is not going to be that high. So I'm curious to see if anybody makes it work. But Bard is on that Neptunal gear that I was talking about earlier, which has a super ton of strength, and Mercy Stroke is based on strength. So anyway, yeah. That is my that is the weapon that I'm interested in, so I got to talk about it. Next up is the Claustrum. LTL, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, of course I'm going to take that one. I mean, I think everybody saw that coming from a mile away. So, you know, and I'm going to shout out here to Eric real quickly. You know, a lot of, you know, say what you will about, you know, the server, say what you will about the issues that they have or whatever. You know, the changes that have been made to these relic weapons showed, you know, something that Square Enix seems to lack quite often when it came to Final Fantasy XI, is the knowledge of the game itself. You know, the people who came together to create these weapons and put the stats on here obviously show that they know the game and understand, you know, what each class needed and why, you know, and what changes they could make that would actually make these weapons desirable to more than just the people it was desirable to before. You know, you don't in current retail, you don't hear about anything other than the Aegis or the G-Horn. You know what I mean? And like, if these changes had been implemented on retail, I think that, you know, we would probably see a few more of them still being used in current retail. So, you know, bravo and thank you to the team for putting these together. They're absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about the Claustrum real quick. So the Claustrum traditionally was a staff that black mages pretty much only used. Summoner could equip it, but there was really no reason to use it. For Gate of Tartarus or the whatever else was on it for Black Mage, I totally forget. But with the current version, I'm not going to speak too much about the Black Mage stuff, but it adds the new Prismatic, with a new effect called Prismatic, which grants magic affinity to all elements +3, which is the HQ staff equivalent. So you can, as a Black Mage, you can basically put away your, you know, sell your HQ staves if the Black Mage is the only reason you had them, because this staff will do the exact same thing, but for all elements. And then Iridescence +15%, which is the weather bonus effect. You know, if you're in an area that's having weather and you use that element of spell with this effect, you will do more damage than you would. But the exciting things about this staff are the changes where they added actually, you know, put in stuff for Summoner to make this something that's actually attractive to the Summoner class. Because like I said before, it never ever really was attractive to Summoners. But also for the Black Mages, sorry, magic attack bonus +20. I forgot that was on there. That's actually, so it's really good for Black Mage. But for Summoner, so this like added onto this now is pet attack +25, which is, you know, we don't have like, I mean, a lot of pieces with pet attack. In fact, I think there's one. It's like one I think it's the Relic gloves, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only thing we have for pet attack. So plus 25. I'm not sure if they're going to roll that into BPs, to blood packs, or if it's just going to be like, their white damage. Either way, it's still pretty awesome. But the real sexy part about this is the blood pact recast time 2 -5. Right now we're capped at I think 44 or 45 seconds for recast time on BP with the current gear that's available. You can stack it all, and the lowest you can get is a 44 or 45 second recast timer, down from a minute, which is significant, but it's it's still a long time. And with this piece, you can break that cap. Finally, you can now go below the 45 seconds, which is really cool. I don't know how much the 5 equals. I don't know if that's 1 second. I don't know.
It should be 5 seconds.
Okay, well then that would be ridiculous because it
Yeah.
would take you down to 40 seconds,
Mhm.
which is a straight 20 seconds off your BP timer, which means you could roll like 4 buffs constantly without any downtime, which is sick. But yeah, so those are some really exciting changes for the summoner. It's exciting, something I'll probably never see, but can't wait to roll with the summoner who has it to see how more amazing than me they are. I think
Don't look at the parse.
Yeah, right. So I think the Kikoku is next.
Kikoku, that one's me. So, yeah, I wish I had an image pulled up here, but I just do have the notes on the changes that were made. And there's really just 2, but they're very important. So, Blade Metsu, the associated weapon skill, is now a 4-hit weapon skill, which is like strong multi-hit weapon skills are really fun to build into. Because like say you want a multi-attack proc, or say you want to stack more stats, like it's really cool math to try to work out how to make that weapon skill stronger. But the really big thing and the cool thing that people picked up on, and just love about it, is it adds the aftermath has been changed to being a 20% Dakin buff. Dakin is an ability that people wanted on Ninja. They're like, why is there no Dakin? Why is there no Dakin? Well, it's because it's incredibly strong. So the devs are waiting to put that out later. And actually, Eric said in the live stream that he's going to be, this buff will stack with future Dakin when it's added to Ninja, whenever that comes. So Dakin, whatever your percentage chance is on each attack round, you have a chance to throw a shuriken for free and that's the shuriken you have equipped. And it just gets thrown as an additional attack, and it doesn't consume the shuriken. So 20% of the time you're basically getting a free attack on your attack round 20% of the time. And because shurikens are actually pretty high base damage, they're expensive to throw normally, but you would be wasting your time mid-battle throwing them normally. I mean, maybe you're doing like ranged and you're throwing your shurikens, but that's not really tenable. But getting that free throw 20% of the time, I'm sure this weapon's nuts, and there is one on the server done by do you guys know who this is? You guys know who made the one Kikoku that's on the server?
Mm-hmm. His namesake is the job that can use it.
Yeah, it's Ninja, like the streamer Ninja.
That's cute.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're having a ball with it. I haven't seen any reports on how much damage they're doing or anything like that, but it's very strong. And I think compared to in original, here we go. I'll pull this over here. Originally, it was just kind of a meme weapon. So I'm just gonna look up the 75 version of the original Kikoku, and it's attack plus 20, which I think is still kept. So I don't have the actual image pulled up here for the Horizon changes, but the aftermath was like, so the aftermath originally on retail was subtle blow plus 10, which is just fine. It's okay. It's unexciting. It doesn't add anything to your job, but throwing an extra shuriken every 20% of the time is super cool. So I think they did a good job with this weapon. What's next on the list, fellas?
Is it Gutler?
Annihilator.
Annihilator, yeah.
Which no changes were made, right?
No
Yeah.
changes were made. My bad. Gutler. That would be me also. There's actually not much for me to say on this one. I'll just list what was changed. Onslaught is now a 5-hit weapon skill, which is actually kind of cool for Beast. I don't think they have Decimation, and Decimation's mods are. It's definitely going to be a little bit of editing for this, you guys.
No, leave it all in. Leave it all in.
Decimation has a strength mod as well, but it's 3 hits. Okay, so now Beast has a 5-hit weapon skill to play around with the same mods, so they can pretty much stack the weapon skill the same way. But the cool thing that they did add is Tandem Strike, where when the Beastmaster and the pet are attacking the same thing, both the Beastmaster and the pet get increased accuracy and increased magic accuracy. And it's a little bit of an incentive to fight with your pet on the same target. As far as I can tell, the community's not super excited around this one. It's got a cool flavor, but it's not. Even I actually know somebody in my link show who plays like Beastmaster main, and they're actually saving money for a relic. They're like they've been a crafter since like early on in the server, and they're not planning on getting the Gutler. They're planning a whole new job just to buy a relic for them. So, yeah. So.
I don't think any of it was a downside, though. It just, you're saying that you wish it had just a little bit more health.
I think they did a good job designing it, and I'm sure the weapon skill actually performs well, but it's just not as exciting as like the Kikoku or some other weapons we're going to be talking about later, or the Claustrum, for example, which is just like a wet dream.
Speaking of wet dream, that next one is the one I want to hear about.
All right, Aegis.
Now we're going to talk about a real relic for a minute here. So everybody knows Aegis from retail, right? So it's always had the negative 25% to magic damage taken, and Shield Bash was always augmented, but the Shield Bash augment in retail was, I think it was, I believe, 200 damage added to your Shield Bash, if I remember correctly. And that was pretty much it. Well, the new version, Shield Bash damage plus 500. That's nuts on its own, right? I mean, that's, you want to talk about one hell of a mini provoke, that's a hell of a mini provoke. You smack something for 600, it's going to know you're there. And then the best part, Shield Bash grants 1000 TP on use, which is awesome.
That's
because
so
now as a
cool.
paladin, I can self skill chain. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's that makes me want one very badly. And then the new effect occasionally converts magic damage taken to MP, has a 5% proc rate, and restores 10% of the damage taken as MP. Which is a Galka again. Makes me want that very much badly. Other than that, it's basically the same. You know, only those changes. Nothing to brag about.
That's the first one where my jaw was like, and I broke it all down to my son, 12-year-old, sitting beside me waiting for the next movie to start. And I was like, let me tell you about this shield. and I got excited about it when I was watching the live stream. That's the first one that kind of hit me across the face.
Plus, I mean, it's a pretty aesthetically nice shield, too. I mean, I'm all about the aesthetics, you know. Like,
and you're a Galka.
yeah, that way you can see everything.
Yeah, shield's pretty damn iconic.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So next up,
the Ragnarok.
Yeah. Ragnarok, it did change from its modifiers, which we talked about everything gaining strength, and this is no different because it's now strength in mind instead of charisma in mind. And I don't know many jobs that would actually be stacking charisma too much that could use a Ragnarok in the first place. So I'm really liking that strength one, especially for those jobs. The critical or chance of critical hit varies with TP. That's there. The aftermath critical hit damage 10%. Now the 10% is actually I believe that's not an. wait, that's the aftermath. So it is a double increase from the actual retail. Retail was 5% critical hit rate. This is now 10%. So that's right off the bat enjoyable on there. And that actually, again, 1,000 TP, 20 seconds, 2,000 TP, 40 seconds, and 3,000 is 60 seconds, a full minute of 10% crit hit damage. So that doubles it up, and if I remember correctly, that is the equivalent to a 85 Ragnarok on retail. So you'd have to level it up twice from the 75 to the, I think, the 80 and then the 85 to get that 10% on the aftermath. So they did bump that up. I like the base damage also going to 93. It does push it above its original 86, but before the 99, which is what the 80 version is on retail. So I do like that, but it does have a little bit of a slower delay with the 466 instead of the 431. So it's a little bit slower. But it does hit harder, and I think the biggest part of that is number one, the strength being added in, and number two, the double of the critical hit damage. So those two are both phenomenal changes on there. I haven't seen too many people talking about the Ragnarok. A lot of other people are leaning towards still APOC, etc. on there, but the Ragnarok did get, I think, a little bit of a buff of its previous model.
You know what's crazy to me about that critical hit damage is on Thief, when I do like a naked sneak attack or trick attack, I'll do between 280 and 400 damage, every minute. But I've seen two-handed warriors just crit for 300 just on their crits.
Yeah.
So like 10% damage to that is just an extra 30 damage,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not even counting like the hidden effect of like triple damage. I think that one is 13% of the time.
If you caught that, I did not.
2.5. So the relics, I think they all have it. All the weapons have a hidden effect. The Ragnarok does 2.5 damage on the 2.5x damage on the first swing of an attack round 7% of the time.
7%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they didn't talk about that hidden effect. I assume they didn't remove them because that wouldn't make sense. But yeah. So that weapon's gonna do a lot of damage, dude. And I think the increased delay is an X hit reason. So I think you could only get like a 6-hit build with Ragnarok prior to that delay, and now it's down to 5. Not 100% sure on that. Somebody who does math, leave it in the comments below.
Yeah, because I do not. But it looked pretty cool. I do like that double up on the crit hit damage. That looks fun, especially for that full minute if you have 3,000 TP going in.
All right, next up we have the Excalibur.
So it's my turn again, huh? So with Excalibur, I actually think this is kind of cool because it's much like your excitement for the additional effects they changed for job specific, right?
The adaptive,
yeah, the adaptive effects. That's the word I was looking for. So on Paladin, damage proportional to the amount of HP, 25% of that, right? So as a Galka with a shit ton of HP, that is freaking nice. For Red Mage, additional effect damage proportional to the amount of MP, 35%. So if you are a Taru Red Mage and you just want to hit something with a sword,
is it like the number or is it the percentage that you have?
it is I believe it is the total sum because they phrased it as damage proportionate to HP, 25% of your total HP, and damage proportional of current MP, or current HP and current MP. I'm sorry. So it's however much you have at the time of using the weapon skill.
Gotcha. Or the physical hit, not the weapon skill.
Correct.
Right, because I think that's the on-hit effect.
Yes. Which is really nice.
Yeah. How much HP do you have as a Galka?
At 71, I have 1,500.
I pictured a Taru using Convert just a weapon skill with it, and then just getting punched in the fucking face. Gotta cap out the MP, Convert. Bam!
It doesn't.
Careful out there.
The BG Wiki doesn't say for the original Excalibur how often that 25%. Wait, the deals damage equal to 25% of the current health. It doesn't say how often that procs. Is that every hit?
I assume so, yeah. I don't know. I was never rich enough to have one.
So like Atari with full MP is just like plus 250 damage on a swing. Is this right?
There's no way it's every
There's
swing.
no way that's every swing.
Yeah, right.
That would be broken as hell. Maybe somebody from the dev team can elaborate that knows the math on that.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Nudge,
Comments
nudge,
below.
wink, wink. But I also have the next weapon, which is the gun gear. The overhaul on it is insane, right? So I made Dragoon on retail. Everybody knows that. Again, I was never rich enough to have a relic. But the modifier being changed to strength plus dex from used to having agility as a secondary modifier or primary modifier, I don't remember which one, is huge, right? Strength and dex are a Dragoon's bread and butter, right? So that is amazing. I'm sure a lot of people are ecstatic just for that change, but then, and I'm not going to butcher the name of the weapon skill that goes with gun gear, is now a 2-hit weapon. Probably pretty close.
Wait, say that again?
Gerskogul.
Can you say it like Deckard Cain now?
Gerskogul.
Gerskogul.
Okay, thank you.
Is a 2-hit weapon skill with mirrored FTP. I'm sure. Does everybody know what FTP is? I assume.
A file
I don't.
transfer protocol.
not that kind of FTP.
Oh.
So it's a multiplier of your base damage when performing a weapon skill, right? So basically, when they mirror the FTP, whatever your initial hit is, it mirrors the same for your secondary hit for the weapon skill, right? They also added aftermath of 5% of damage dealt heals your wyvern, which is pretty cool since they're 75% of your damage. And then they added the additional effect weakens defense, which has been there, but they changed it to represent the same amount as Angon, which Angon is a 20%, right? It was 17 in retail. So 20% is pretty nice. I mean, it's a defense down of 20%. Overall, great. Additional effect, offensive wyvern breath steal, unaspected damage, which is also amazing. Because it's just damage. That is pure damage. So you don't have to worry about it using the wrong breath or whatever. So that's great. I did have a question, which you just brought up on another relic weapon, Quetch.
Yeah, what's up?
Is the hidden effect of the occasionally does 2.5 times more, 2.5 times normal damage. I don't remember if that's era for this era, if that existed.
It was because that's like Mandau's only draw back then.
Gotcha.
It was like because Mandau, so they're all a little bit different. So like the Ragnarok was like that 7% of the time, but like Mandau 75 is triple damage 5% of the time, as opposed to Ragnarok, which is 2.5x damage 7% of the time.
And I assume those are still existing on them.
They should be, yeah.
They weren't specified, but I assume that's still a thing. So if you put all of that together, that is one hell of a Dragoon weapon.
Yeah, you're defensing down the mob. You're doing extra damage on these swings.
Mm-hmm.
Your weapon skill is actually something that makes sense for your class. And your wyvern staying alive through your damage dealt.
Mm-hmm. And dealing unaspected damage every time you weapon skill.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a relic weapon.
It is.
Yeah, this one's being talked about a lot in the community because it's actually genuinely a very good weapon for both raid-wide DPS, like if you're in an alliance and you're fighting single targets. Angon itself is incredibly strong, something people are looking forward to, but now you won't like by spending the 100 mil or whatever this costs to make, you kind of have a full uptime Angon, so to speak. But that's like the cost that you've decided to put your money and time into. So like it's really interesting from a player agency standpoint, is like if that's what you choose to do, that's the bonus you have. If like a mythic comes out too, that'll be like something you choose to make because that'll have some kind of effect, whatever the effect that is. So yeah, I mean the Angon effect is incredible.
The Dragoon's already strong as hell. You give them one of those and it's gonna be a fun time.
So, and people were talking about this also as a very good solo weapon for keeping your wyvern alive, but also just like like being able to just dish out damage and like weaken the mob like without buffs. You know, you don't have like a bard with you or whatever to increase your attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a freaking sweet one. I honestly, if I had to pick a winner, that would be in the top for sure, top 3.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm not even playing Dragoon on Horizon. I'm contemplating things.
Uh-oh.
Another change.
No.
All right, next up we have the Yoichi bow. Who's on that one?
The Yoichi no Yumi. So this is pretty cool. There's some changes, nothing game breaking, but pretty cool. So it adds the it's for Ranger and Samurai. I guess Samurai for Nama Zero. I mean, I guess that's why it would be okay. I don't know why else the Samurai would use it, other than the damage. Anyways, for Samurai, it's got a sweet spot from 0 to 7.5 yalms, which means that I forget what the actual bonus is for being in the sweet spot, but there is a bonus for being in the sweet spot, and it changes the Ranger sweet spot from 7.5 yalms to 20, and it gives you an enmity -10 in addition to the other effects you get for the sweet spot, which is pretty cool. Ranger in XP parties is the bane of many a tank. Basically, if the Ranger's pulling off sidewinders and they can hit pretty reliably, chances are your tank's not going to have aggro on it for very long anyways. That's why 2 Ranger parties are great. You just stand like across from each other far enough away that you just play fucking ping pong with whatever you're fighting. It's just sidewinder to sidewinder, and it keeps running back and forth. The other cool thing that they added is enhances the barrage effect. So currently, and I don't know what it is on Horizon, but it's probably Era. So if it is Era, at Ranger level 75, Barrage can launch up to 6 shots, and it's just a standard ranged shot. So you use Barrage, you use ranged attack, and then it fires 6 arrows, and you get TP back according to however many of them you hit. It can also crit on all of them. It does like kind of stupid damage, but it's like once every 5 minutes, so it's not like game breaking. So at level 74, you can upgrade your Hunter's Bracers, the AF Bracers, to a +1, which gives you 1 additional arrow. So now you have 7. And then with this bow, it now adds 1 more. So you have 8. So Barrage can hit 8. I mean, and it's just a once every 5 minute thing. It's 1 extra arrow. I can't tell you how many times I've missed with Barrage, even having sharp shot up. Like,
it goes until it misses the first shot and then doesn't do anything after, right?
No, it's whether you hit or miss.
No.
Well,
Like so like in a, like if the first shot misses, the rest
whole
of
thing
them,
misses.
yeah. Right.
okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
So this is added to it, but you got to get to that level 8.
Yeah, you got to hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing game breaking. Definitely not in the top 5 changes to relics. Way more excited about the Claustrum. Not just because I'm a summoner, at heart or whatever. Like I really love Ranger, but I think that this one is definitely in the, file it in the. I'm glad to have the changes, but nothing that makes me go, oh, I need one of those.
Question: you said Samurai wouldn't use this too much during the
I
live.
didn't say that. No. I just meant that I don't know like why a Samurai, if they were going to make a relic, would make this over the Amano. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you can equip it. That's cool, and it's a stat stick. I don't know what stats are on it, but like, I'm sure it's a stat stick. That's cool to have as a Samurai. And if you already had it, like, you would, if you wanted to use it for ranged attacks for whatever reason as your Samurai, yeah, you could. But it's definitely, this is like a rich Samurai or a Samurai whose main is a Ranger that already made one.
I saw a lot of people during the live broadcast talking about, oh, you just made Sobro better than the best in slot weapon in the game. Why'd you do that by adding this in? Because the Sobro being able to build that TP quick enough for the Sidewinders and such like that. So that's why I was just wondering, because the initial reaction to the community was like, you just made the Relic weapon for Samurai null and void with this archery edition. But I see where you're
Yeah.
coming from on there, and I misread personally the sweet spot from 0 to 7.5. I thought it was in that range. I don't play Ranger at all. I thought as long as you were in 0 to 7.5, then it's
Yeah.
the sweet spot.
That is it.
That's what it is.
That is? Okay, I
Yeah.
thought it wasn't just 7.5. Okay.
It's between 0 and 7.5 yalms away. So Ranger can face tank. Samurai can face tank it. Ranger, in order to be as effective, needs to be at least 7.5 away from the mob.
Yeah. So I looked up distance correction as we were going over that, which is the sweet spot thing, and I'm sure older players of the game will remember when they added that distance correction, because like Rangers used to melee and then just fire slug shots right at the mob, and then it was a huge controversy when they patched it to have the sweet spot, because what it essentially does is if you're not in the sweet spot for your weapon, you get a lower ranged accuracy and a lower ranged attack or lower ranged damage on your hits. So Horizon's change to Yoichi is pretty interesting, because now you can Soburo and then shoot arrows while you're next to the mob fighting it. So I guess people who really like Soburo, this would be the reason they might want to make the bow over the Amano. I can see somebody who really loves that play style doing it.
Yeah, I didn't know about that perspective on it. Yeah, that's interesting.
And then it's dual as a ranger weapon too, so you just level your ranger up and then you got a rug for two jobs.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of playing a job that requires you to get 2, kind of like a paladin or bard.
Right.
All right.
Awesome.
So next weapon, the Sfarai. So Sfarai, they added the pretty interesting change. Okay, I'll talk about the mods first. So they didn't change the mods. There's only 2 changes on the Sfarai. One is they upped the base damage by 1. Sfarai was kind of a meme back in the day too. It added like counter, so like your aftermath would be like you'd have more counter. So the idea was it was like a tanking hand to hand. But I don't think it ever played out that way very well. But they changed the aftermath to kick attacks plus 10%. So similarly to Dakin on Kikoku is you get an extra attack in your attack round 10% of the time. Monk's already dishing out a lot of damage, like as it is with the current endgame variety. When you add a higher base damage weapon along with the aftermath effect that procs X% of the time for like extra damage, and then adding extra attack rounds, and kick attacks can also proc in weapon skills. I think it needs to be the Dragon Kick. I think it needs to be like foot-based weapon skills. Anybody actually know on that one?
No.
Okay. Somebody who knows, post in the comments down below. But anyway, extra attack rounds period for any melee generates more TP, generates more damage. I'm sure this weapon's very strong. Looks strong.
Cool.
And it's gold and cool looking. Last up, I think, Mjolnir.
Mjolnir, it is, and obviously with everything else, they added strength. No, that's a joke. They did not add strength to Mjolnir on this. It looks like they added a few things, and this one was a surprise. They saved what he called the best for last on this, the unique situation, because it does add something we haven't had in the game yet, and probably wouldn't have anything else related to it later on. But let's start with the basics. Adds refresh effect. Wonderful. Added that on. New, also cure potency 15%. That is added as well. That's phenomenal on there right off the bat for Mjolnir. The base damage, they increased it from 57 to 58. I'd love to know why the 1. Does you guys have any idea why they increased it 1?
Same reason that they did it for the monk. Like, you're doing hexa strikes, you're spamming hexas, and like, that's like a 5-hit, whatever. And it's they do a lot of damage. A battle white mage is no joke. Like they will fuck shit up, and that's why they didn't want to go too overboard. But yeah, 58 is decent for a club.
The aftermath on here, the Randgrith. I keep reading it, and I don't know why, but it's the dyslexia kicking in. Randgirth has been revised, and its aftermath now is a sphere with 5% haste, which right off the bat, previously it was added 20 accuracy. I mean, if you're getting the TP and you're smacking in the face, that's wonderful and all, but that doesn't help and really do much. Oh yeah, you can smack him more with your club. This is a aftermath of Sphere of Haste plus 5%. Did anyone catch if it was magical based or does it have? Go ahead.
It's geomancy.
Oh, so Sphere means the
Yes.
Geoman. Oh, that sounds absolutely wonderful.
They did say what kind of haste it was, though. I
They
think it's gear haste.
It is gear
Okay.
haste.
So
Yeah.
we'll have the cap on there.
Yeah, you're
for
20
the
25.
DPS.
Yep. And most people aren't reaching that 25%. Even if I had best in slot on Thief, if I had a speed belt, I could reach 24 in era, I think. But I can get to 22.
So it's Dancer Haste Samba. Okay.
Well, actually, that's JA haste.
Yeah, that is. But yeah, the being able
Same
to provide it to the party, then
to the
just
party.
the 20 accuracy on that. So the bubble around it and the little, you saw the aura, if you go back and watch the video kind of around it. As soon as you saw that aura, everyone in the chat was like, oh my God, Geomancy! And just getting all excited. It does have also 2-hit weapon skill mirrored with FTP, but I love that they added in a little Geomancy bubble. It's almost like a little bit of a nugget for something that may be 4 or 5 years down the line when Geomancer and Rune Fencer. But I thought that was a cool addition. That's thinking outside of the bubble, not the box. Thinking outside the bubble to be able to add that on. Yes, Cal, I made
You're
a dad
fucking
joke.
dork.
Shut up.
He is, isn't he?
Shut up. But no, that was I really thought that one was cool. I'm not even a white mage. I don't really care about being a white mage or anything of the sort. But when I saw that, I was like, all right, that's that little aura around looked pretty cool. So I thought that was a wonderful addition to it.
All right, question for you guys. Would you put the melee white mage in the melee party or the tank party with that weapon?
Melee.
Still tank party because of the 15% heals.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
Okay.
LTL.
I'm leaning on the side of melee party. Give him that extra gear haste, you know? help out your fellow thieves out there.
You just want that 25%.
I do. I want
They
to cap.
should- they
I want to
should get
cap
good.
so bad.
Yeah, they should get good and get the right gear. I mean,
They
that's
get in the DPS party. They get those DPS bard buffs.
Oh yeah.
They fucking and then they start dropping those bubbles. Jesus Christ, they never stop. That'd be insane.
Start whipping out
Can't wait
Randoots.
can't wait for fucking blue mage. Put me in a fucking party with the white mage with my blue mage. Let's do it.
always blue mage. Blue mage.
Yeah, I got a thing for blue mage, baby.
It's gonna be fun.
All right. Well, we do want to touch on some of the patch notes that have happened in the past couple weeks because there's been a few key things that have come out. We're not going to go over everything in this podcast because there's a lot of under the hood stuff. There's a lot of various changes to some quests and missions and things. So we just have some things to touch on. DA, why don't you go first with the stuff you have to talk about, and then we'll finish up with the other things.
2 of them that I want to be able to kind of specifically point out. First off, placeholder monsters for mini NMs in the starter Beastman strongholds. Gideus, Grotto, and the Palboro Mines have an 8-minute respawn timers. That's current retail, but it was 16 minutes for era back in the day. So remember in Gideus, where I'm having to be out there for 4 or 5 days straight, and we killed that NM 50 times. That was a 16-minute timer on PH. So everything would pop up, people would kill everything, but the second time they popped up is when your PH would be there or the NM. They changed it from the 16 minutes to now 8 minutes, which it's good and all to be able to shorten the PH, but it really doesn't change the window of the NMs you're camping. Just more things to kill in the meantime, doubles that timer. So yeah, we're going to go out there and kill more PHs for the exact same amount of pops.
Looking for the same staff for the
Eventually. Yeah. The other one is, and I'll read this straight up on the 6.4, advertising the sale of mercenary services or merking in any public chat channel is not allowed on Horizon XI. Merking is defined as the act of selling, and then content clears, selling dynamics clears, rare exclusive items. Basically, you can't shout, you can't advertise, you can't promote that you are merking. There's no problem in doing the murking, but you're not going to shout and advertise that in yells or anything that is public, like pay me and I'll make you better and get you the shit you want. You could still pay people, just no advertising. And he had to come out and basically specifically talk about that. Is murking allowed at all, or is it just public advertising of it? This is the advertising. So I want to make that clear for the murking side, because again, you guys, Quetch, LTL, you guys are in that end game. You're able to roll in those drops, even though you roll a 150 and lose your lot. You you are able to actually get those. Cal and myself, we're still trying to work on our first 75, so that gear eventually we may not join those in-M or in-game kind of things, the H&Ms. We may actually hire somebody to get us the stuff, but you're not gonna advertise. We're gonna reach out to friends and find out the cost and be able to kind of work with that. But advertising is off the books, so do not do it. Those are my two.
I mean, something a little less than, say, the high-end H&M drops, but even like something like black belt items, which is something that's commonly murked. You know, somebody's just trying to level like monk or play monk to the highest capacity, but they can't be in those high-end H&M kills. You know, you spend like $1 mil per item or whatever, and but like even that's just an example of something that is kind of reasonable to murk simply because of the type of scarcity that those items have. Is they're just hard to come by, but when shells have them or have access to them, they don't need them after a certain point. So you know, whatever a person's stance is on murking, given whatever context that happens to be in, there's no public
Well, you just say that's what you just say. Want to buy weird wormbeard?
Yeah.
You know, like you can shout that. Like you can ask to buy whatever you want. Like I saw somebody in yell today, like want to buy Byaku's Hayadate, and obviously somebody would need to murk that for them. So I guess as long as somebody's not like, hey, do you want to spend money on this kill and get this item from us? Like as long as that's not what's being said, I guess we're okay. I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, you know, to not have it both ways, right? It's like if I'm shouting for an item that we all know can only be bought by somebody who's, you know, technically murking it for me, then, you know, why is that okay? And, you know, somebody shouting, hey, you know, 1 mil for, you know, whatever kill. Like I don't know.
You're talking
I
about
guess-
the seller reaching out, not the buyer reaching out, not the seller reaching out.
Right, but I mean, I wonder even if it was like, if you just wanted to say like, want to sell Relic hats from Dynamics Archivard, please send hell. Like, is that wrong? You're not advertising a merc service. You're offering gear for sale. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that
if like
that would fall under
for-
murking, I think.
okay,
Just because it doesn't have a price doesn't mean it's not working.
well, no, but I mean, like, I'm just wondering
gray.
if it's like about the wording, like, because it seems pretty gray. Like, is
Yeah.
it about the wording or is it about like, because you know, like I said, if somebody shouts like, want to buy this rare EX item, that's, you know, you're in the business for being murked for. But if
Right,
somebody
yeah.
says, hey, I want to sell this item that can only be murked, like they're in the wrong. What?
I see where you're coming
Uh,
from.
It doesn't make a ton of sense.
So the way I see it is when that person that wants to buy the Byaku's Haidate
Mhm.
gets contacted and gets it murked to them, they are no longer filling those chat channels with that message. Like what happens when the server gets to a point where we constantly see messages of want to sell Sky items, want to sell Dynamis, we're going tonight to Zarkabard, you know, want to sell, you know, I'm sure there's other things that are just going to get layered on as the content releases. And it's like before the server becomes 1/3 of all shouts are merc shouts for selling
Oh, no.
things.
I think it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think the implementation of no merc shouts is lovely. I don't want this server to be a Sura.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Nobody wants this place to be a Sura. I completely agree with it.
Okay.
I'm just saying that like I wonder like what the actual like reality of it is. Like if person A is the person asking to buy a rare EX item in shout, and person B is the person selling to, you know, yelling to sell this item in shout or whatever, who if are both of them in the wrong? is just the person saying that they want to sell it in the wrong? Like, you know what I mean?
I think the seller has to personally tell the person. I don't think you can shout because DA, you have the text there. They mention
Yeah.
rare EX items, don't they?
I'll read it. Advertising the sale of merking services in any public channel is not allowed in Horizon. Merking is defined as the act of selling content clears, rare EX items, and services to clear content for another player. Shouting to sell a clear in a piece of content in exchange for gil or a portion of the drops in any other form of compensation. Note that this rule does not forbid players from using public channels to offer compensation to other players to help them with the in-game content, e.g. offering 50k for help farming a copper key. So it's literally talking about that you can offer to pay somebody 50k to help you get a coffer,
I think they just use
but
it as
you
like
can't
the base
sell
example.
like go get it for me and here's 50k. It does need more clarity, I think. Look, LTL, I see your smile. I see your smile on there because me reading the whole thing made your point even more prevalent.
It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I mean, I would love for some. I know Eric watches these, so hello, friend. You know, maybe a little bit of clarification if possible. I'm not trying to be obtuse. I'm not trying to be argumentative. Like I said, I agree with the implementation. I don't want this to be a Sura ever. It's gross over there. I mean, I love it, but it's gross over there. It's dirty in the right kind of way, right? I don't want that kind of dirty over here. And I get it, and I appreciate that they're taking the stand. I just wonder, like in my specific example, like I mean, I guess you kind of answered that in there. It's like the yelling to sell a rare EX item, I guess, is like falls into that category. So I guess the question is answered, where it's like, you know, if I'm offering to sell a Byaku's Hayadate, for example, I'm wrong. But if somebody's saying, "Hey, I want to buy one," that's okay.
Slide into the DMs
Yes.
and fulfill that agreement. But
Okay, I mean, as long as that's the way it is, then that's okay. I mean, I get it. I don't. I mean, I think that.
Well, one way is
Yeah.
an advertisement, and the other way is not.
classifieds in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess you're right. I guess you're right. That makes sense. Like, I'm sorry, I have to wrap my big dumb thick head around it. But,
You bold man. I haven't
such
said
a
it this one yet.
bold man.
So
All right.
yeah, I think the community definitely asked for a lot of clarification as that went on, and there were devs and community people in the Discord that whole day, like clarifying this stuff. So, you know, it's people are asking.
Fair enough.
So that's those things. So the other thing that I'd like to touch on, because I mentioned it earlier in the show, that our link shell got Nidhogg yesterday, and with the new H&M claim system. LTL, have you been away from Diablo long enough to experience the new system?
I was out there on like the first, second, and third day that it rolled out.
Oh, that's right.
You know that. Like,
I
my
saw you
first
at
day, yeah.
King
I
Behemoth.
raised you at King Behemoth.
Yeah, I got too close to a meteor.
So I was out there for the first couple of days, but then you know Lilith got her dirty hands on me. So
Yeah, I think we've had conversations on this podcast about the way the H&M system was, where we have to canvas so many areas of so many zones, and it just and then like the mob would pop somewhere that like nobody's even at, and you're like, all right, we didn't get claimed today, boys. I guess we didn't, show up with enough people.
wrap it up, boys.
Yeah. Where did it even pop? I don't know. I'm gonna go to the zone and look. But now they've narrowed it down so the H&Ms pop within a region of their respective zones, and then that's it. So prior it was like all of Kufim had like multiple spots where Behemoth could spawn. Now actually it doesn't spawn in Kufim anymore as of this patch.
That's a bad example.
That's a bad example. Rolandberry Fields, multiple places where Behemoth could spawn over the entire map. Now we know the exact smallish area that Behemoth is going to spawn in if it spawns there. And also, there will not be a repeat spawn in the same zone from day to day, from one day to the next. So, a bunch of us were in Zita, and this was yesterday's Nidhogg. A bunch of us were in Zita, a bunch of us were in Romaiv. And I forget if it was either Tree or Dia. I think it was Dragon's Airy. And it happened to spawn in Zita, but it spawned in a spot where people didn't happen to be standing. And one of the thieves in our LS, actually the same person who got the leg drop that beat me in my roll, was solo claimed Nidhogg. It just spawned in a spot people weren't standing. They turned around,
He earned the drop.
provoked it. What's that?
He earned the drop.
That was kind of how we took it when he got it. We're like, not only did you get the claim, but you got the drop. Like, it's a big day for you. 1 of 1 in the freaking lottery system, and that was that. We were at Behemoth like the same day, or was it today? I forget. These things are all starting to blur because I've been doing a lot of camping lately, and like the thing pops. We weren't in that zone. Or we didn't see it. It got claimed by someone else. We go, all right, let's just go home. Like, that was it. We get out to the few individual spots. We have a chance. Maybe we don't get claim, and then we leave. Like, it just feels a lot better from my perspective as a smaller H&M shell in the server. Feeling like, if we have 18 people on, we can get 6 people in each of the 3 zones. We have a chance.
And that gives you enough for like a holding party for any particular zone.
Exactly.
Because you definitely have to hold for a little while the rest of your folks get there.
Which was a component of the way it was prior, but now we got a holding party, and that's why they added the draw-in system, so you could have your group in that zone all drawn in. But like, it just didn't play out that way to where you just felt like you could do it.
Mm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the changes. I think it's going to add to a lot more competition in fun ways. That spot in Romaiv is scary.
Moongate.
Yeah, Moongate, baby. That's scary, but
yeah.
I think it's cool that they put stuff in different places. You can experience the fight in different ways. And like, to your point, which is very important for a lot of these up and coming shells, is that now you don't have to have 80 people online and camping actively. You can like be effective if it's only in 3 zones that it can be, and on any given day, you've got a better than average chance. Even if other people have like 15, 20 people in the same spot, like at least you've got a shot now because if it's going to spawn in that zone, it's going to spawn right there.
Yeah, I think it gives the players a lot of agency. It gives Link Shells a lot of agency, but it's still not like easy content. The fights are still hard, and you need to be coordinated, and you need to have the right players, and those players need to have the right gear. So it's a nice blend. I think it did a really good job.
I agree.
Cool. So so those are the big changes we wanted to go over. The 2 very important things to the community. I think the taking away of Merc shouting and those changes to the H&M system. Last up is our segment Glitch Fest, where we like to take a lighthearted approach to the various glitches we experience here on Horizon, with the understanding that the server is looking to improve. The only thing I have to point out this week is I've been voiding out a lot lately, and people told me there's a fix in the somewhere in the Discord, something about video cards having 8 gigabytes or something. I don't know. Does anybody know what I'm referencing there?
It's the same thing that they've been pushing since the server launched.
Yeah, but I haven't.
Something about the VRAM or something.
Something about the VRAM. I had never voided like I've been voiding lately. So like I'll get warped and I'll be in Port Juno. I'll see the home crystal. I'll see the players, but everything else is black.
Welcome to my world. That's exactly what I've been complaining
That's
about.
What you've been.
Past, yes.
Maybe we should both try this patch or whatever out.
It's been happening to me a lot lately, and I did that patch when they first started talking about it, and it's still happening to me.
I think you might have to redo it, Cal.
Maybe I can try it again because like I was doing. Oh yeah, I forgot to add that to my list of stuff I did. We finished Promivazal, right? And Sacrarium, and both times as soon as I got out the cutscenes at the end of it, instantly black warp. Like I could see everybody around me but couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you move around at all too much, or like move your camera, sometimes it'll just hard crash the game.
Oh yeah, I rested once and it crashed the game. I
Yeah.
like come down and I'm like boop, crashed.
Yep. Not great, but yeah, that is what I've been talking about with the mine was alliance touched, like basically like I've explained it, like being in a 18-man alliance and warping back or zoning typically ended in me black screening that exact same way. But it's it sucks that it's happening to you, but I'm kind of glad that it's happening to more people because then hopefully they'll be able to like have more reports on what's causing it and maybe actually be able to get a fix in. That'd be great.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and that's happening to you, I would suggest going to the tech support channel on the Discord and maybe looking for that VRAM thing and see if that helps you and let us know. Anything else for Glitchfest, guys, before we wrap it up today?
Just the rumor of those two clamming points being finally fixed on there because of the addressment that we've been having, because we are the only clamming voice for Final Fantasy that's ever been. But
Don't loop me in with you.
So just those being fixed. Right now, I have confirmation from two people that they have been. I haven't personally done it, but Winter Solstice and Hugin went out there and tested it out because he said he watched the podcast and he was like, hey, I'm interested in claiming and finding out more about this. And he goes out there, and now I actually have a screenshot of him dead on the beach because he got aggro as a level 30. So that was a little joy
So
in my
good.
life when you die while clamming. I don't know if that's ever happened in Final Fantasy before. So.
You got clam jammed. Yeah,
But
you
no,
don't want to get clam
I
jammed.
look forward to that. I'm going to go out there and test around, especially when those new body pieces come out.
Cool.
The only other thing that could possibly be added to Glitchfest this week, since it's been a couple weeks since we talked, is, and Eric, I love you, and I'm not gonna go full in on you. I hope you know that this comes from a place of love. But since it happened, it should be spoken about. It should at least be mentioned. Don't get upset. I'm not gonna. I love you. So a couple weeks ago, however long ago it was, there was an incident at King Arthur. Day one, King Arthur spawned. There was some fuckery, whatever happened. It was dragged back to the outpost. Certain unnamed superstar of a human being managed to start killing it at the OP. The superstar group of superstars killed the crab, and none of the ads spawned. They killed it. They got drops. They get to keep them. Whatever. And then the next day, no crab spawned, or in the middle of the crab spawning. I don't remember the whole story. I don't want to talk out of turn, but basically there was some fuckery at KA, and somebody, like, it was fought and was killed without any of the spawns on the second day, and the decision was made to remove the drops manually from the people who got the drops. It was 2 decloth, I think. So not even really that big of a deal. The drops were, to be removed manually. Well, instead of removing the decloth from one of the offending persons, he didn't do anything wrong, inventory, that person themselves was deleted. It's meme worthy. It's funny now because it's all done and said and done and over with. But the person got deleted. I'm not going to mention any names. If you were there, if you know the people, you know who they are.
Hashtag free Stan the man.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag free Stan the man. Anyway, so he got his character deleted. And to everyone's credit, and this is the bottom bun of the shit sandwich because I still love you, Eric. To everyone's credit, Stan was fully restored. I think he had to go back. He got rolled back 2 weeks from the point where he got deleted. But then had a conversation with GMs and explained where he was and what content he had completed and things he had done in those 2 weeks, and they refunded him everything. So
That's great.
He was taken care of. No harm, no foul. But just kind of one of those funny things. Only happens on a private server. It was handled with. There was some memeing. There was some angry people. There was some hurt feelings or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a game. And it was handled, and lol, basically, LOL. So yeah, that's the story of the issue at KA. quite a glitch.
Yeah, the glitchy mob and
Yeah.
other stuff.
Yeah.
There's,
the
there's a
other
whole
stuff.
saga. If you're curious about reading further, you could just kind of scroll the Horizon chat from just search for King Arthur or something. I'm sure you can dig up all the dirt.
I don't know why, but I picture as they're scrolling through to be able to select declaw to delete, it says this motherfucker, and they accidentally hit that one and deleted the whole character.
Okay, so one last point. For those of you who made it this far in the podcast, you should know we are planning for episode 10 in order for it to be a live show on Twitch, on our Twitch channel. We actually have for the podcast Level Sync Podcast. It's just straight up
Yes.
Level Sync Podcast is the
Correct.
twitch.tv/Level Sync Podcast. We will be talking about this more in the next 2 episodes, of course, and then as well as in the Discord posting information. But it will be live with the 4 of us on Twitch, some fun community interaction, some games, maybe some trivia. We haven't ironed out the exact details of everything yet, but it's in the works, and there'll be more information to come. So I just want to give people a heads up on this episode. Keep an eye out for that, and come join us, come hang out, and have a good time. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's podcast, everybody. This is how do we end this? How do we have we figured out an ending yet? All right.
Yes,
Yeah, guess I'll see you guys in Dragon's Airy. Take care, everybody.
Adios.
Later.